It's been so long since I've watched anything Robot Chicken related. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with 4 Robot Chicken videos. This is our first installment in our weekly YouTube reactions. So for those who don't know, we changed up our schedule a little bit, just switched some things around, altered things because of basically what my new recording availability is going to be currently. I made an entire video about it like last week. You can go check that back out if you want to just get caught up on what it all is. But the new schedule is also shown on the channel banner, so you can see it there. But yeah, every Monday, we have One Piece and YouTube reactions. There's no One Piece this week, unfortunately. There just wasn't an episode this past weekend, so we're still doing the YouTube stuff. Now, this is our first one, and we're starting off with just a simple 4 video thing. This is donation rewards, just letting everyone know that. We're not just going to do random YouTube videos. If we ever run out, then until we get more, we'll probably put something else in this slot. But yeah, for now, we're just going to focus on this and do it this way. So today we're starting out with, like I said, Robot Chicken. We have 4 videos requested by Isabella. Just 4 separate skits. And like I said in the cold open, I have not seen anything Robot Chicken related in a long time. I watched Robot Chicken on Adult Swim and everything. I know what it is. I get the gist. I understand the humor with it. But it's just, I never like watched like actively week to week. And I just, again, haven't watched for a long time. It's just something I kind of moved away from, I guess you could say. Though, to be fair, I moved away from Adult Swim in general. Pretty much entirely. So that kind of explains why. Now, the 4 videos we have today are pretty standardized in what they are. All of them seem to be kind of centering around a similar topic. We have overweight cartoon characters, dead Disney moms, Disney Princess War, and Taken to Peter Pan's Neverland. 3 of those are obviously Disney related. And overweight cartoon characters can very much get into Disney stuff as well. So, overweight cartoon characters, I don't know if it's going to be about characters who are overweight or if they're going to take characters and make them overweight. Honestly, I could see Robot Chicken doing either. But it's going to be talking about that topic. And knowing Robot Chicken, it could get a little dicey with its humor. As someone who is overweight, clearly, touching that kind of topic in comedy can be very because a lot of times it's just not funny to make fun of fat people. In fact, most of the time it's not. Like, you can do fat humor without being insulting about it. One of the biggest, easiest ways to do it is to be self-referential. For example, I'll give you an example. Gabriel Iglesias is fat, or as he likes to call it, fluffy. And he makes fun of himself with that all the time in his stand-up routines. He touches on that topic a lot. He does not hide the fact that he's large. He does not pretend that he's not. Him using the word fluffy is just, for fun. Because it's hilarious and adorable. But he very much touches on that a lot in his comedy. Because part of comedy is observational humor. And good observational humor does start with observing things about yourself. And you can easily make that work. Now, with a skit series like Robot Chicken, and you're touching on cartoon characters, it kind of has a similar vibe to it. You can make it work a lot easier than if you're just insulting people. So I think that this will be okay in terms of that. I don't think it's going to be like super insulting. I think it's just going to be like ridiculous, if anything. Dead Disney moms. I mean, there's a lot of Disney characters who have dead moms. Pretty self explanatory. Probably just gonna touch on those topics. Maybe like make fun of the ways they died or even like perceived ways they could have died. Stuff like that. Could go into just all that kind of stuff. Disney Princess War. I guess the Disney princesses are going to go to war with each other. That's very much a Robot Chicken style sketch. I could totally see them doing that. Most of them have kingdoms, straight up. But if you're going to have war, you have to have Mulan in there. Mulan, for some reason, is considered a Disney princess despite having no royalty or even really connections to royalty. Because even with marrying Shang, it's like he's not royalty. He's just a general. It's like this wouldn't make her a Disney princess. It makes no sense that Disney made her a princess. For their, marketing line. It makes no sense. But the last one we have is Taken to Peter Pan's Neverland. And this one is kind of the most interesting to me just for Robot Chicken doing it. Because if you really think about Neverland from Peter Pan, specifically Disney's Peter Pan, there's issues there that I think Robot Chicken would touch on. Especially the fucking racism. There is a lot of that in there. There's a lot of Disney movies that did not age well. Let's put it that way. There is a lot of racism in Disney's Peter Pan. And other issues too, but we'll touch on that for now. So I think it could definitely go into that. Also go into the fact that there are like unsupervised kids. Stuff like that I could see. Now, before we begin, if you're wondering about the lighting, I'm recording this a lot later than I normally would. My mother came over today, right in the middle of the day, right during prime recording time, because she had to dry her laundry. The dryer at her place is not working properly at the moment, so she had to come over here. It was just the worst possible time. So you're going to have to deal with the lighting in here being, let's be honest, shit. The lighting is shit. But there's nothing I can really do about that, so I apologize. Luckily, there's just not like a huge amount I need to record today, but I mean, we'll do what we have to, So yeah, we're going to get to these reactions. I don't think any of them will be that long, probably a couple minutes in length, maybe upwards of like 5. We'll do them all back to back in the order I mentioned. And I did download them. I'm going to say that right off the bat. Just because recording off of YouTube and players like that lately, Netflix as well, has had some lag issues. So to try and not deal with that, I just downloaded it. Downloaded all 4 videos. So we should be good. We should be good. So yeah, let's get right into it. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the videos. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. That last one really did not go the way I thought it was going to go. I just didn't even consider that it was just going to be a Taken reference. But let's talk about these in order. So, we start off with overweight cartoon characters, and it's a Biggest Loser ripoff. reference, whatever you want to call it. Um, let me just briefly, I'm going to try to keep this brief, explain here. If you don't know, The Biggest Loser was a show, my dad watched it, by the way, that was all about having people come on and go under this training and dietary program to lose weight. The only problem is that the show was excessively toxic. Um, it was dangerous in the methods they would use. And on top of that, the vast majority of people who went on it just, went back to gaining weight and everything again because the methods that they used on the show were unsustainable in regular life. The show had numerous complaints launched against it, and in the end, to my knowledge, was canceled because of it. It was an extremely toxic, terrible show that, while having, I guess you could say, good intentions, handled it in the worst possible way. So, a skit here that's kind of mocking that by having Barbie being like such an excessive hard ass and everything, I can kind of dig that. I can kind of get behind the humor of this one just because that's a show that deserves to be mocked. What I can't get behind is the best character dying. Miss Piggy is my favorite Muppet. I adore her. She actually, this might be weird to some people, but I'm completely serious here. She's kind of an inspiration to me. Just her extreme self-confidence and self-love for herself is really motivating to me, especially as a woman who is not always into just stereotypically feminine things. I think it's extremely motivating and really makes me like her as a character. Plus she's just fucking hilarious. Um I understand the joke they were going with, of course, because her being a pig and everything, and pork and bacon and all of that is fucking delicious. Plus, it kind of breaks the point of losing all the weight and everything. Um, but it's like that's just rude. Um, Mario is definitely bigger than Luigi, but I wouldn't really call him like really fat. Garfield's entire thing is, loving to eat, and especially lasagna, being very lazy. Garfield, in terms of modern depictions, if you were talking about the original comics, yes, Garfield is fat in the original comics. But more modern depictions kind of slimmed him down quite a lot. I would not consider more modern Garfield to be fat, honestly. And then you have Winnie the Pooh, who it's like Winnie the Pooh, I guess you could say is chubby, but I wouldn't like really go far to say needing to be on a weight loss show kind of fat. Um Also, by the way, I didn't comment on it during the reaction, but I did hear the entire part about Eeyore losing his battle with depression. I very much did catch that. I just want to mention that here before anyone mentions it in the comments. Um, I caught that. For those who don't understand why I'm making a point of that, I almost lost my battle with depression multiple times in 2013. I was very suicidal to the point of not just thinking about it, but literally attempting it multiple times that year. Obviously, I'm happy now that I didn't succeed, but yeah. So, luckily, I'm not in that kind of state anymore. But in case anyone was wondering, yes, I did hear that. I did, like, I just didn't comment on it at the time. Yeah, the skit was it was making fun of something terrible, and I can get behind that. It'd be like if it were making fun of PETA or Autism Speaks. It's like I can get behind anything that makes fun of those terrible organizations. Next up, though, we had Dead Disney Moms, and this one was pretty much what I expected, just touching on dead Disney moms and kind of making a joke out of it. Bambi seeing his mom in a Mufasa like floating head situation, and his mom telling him, "Oh, just kill yourself. Deer population is over rampant," which, by the way, it is. That is a real thing. Um, so she's like, "Just kill yourself," and it's like, Jesus. Um, Bit of a suicidal focus in these videos, weirdly enough. Um, why was Marlin and Nemo like Jewish? I have no issue with that. I'm just wondering why that choice was made. It's like I don't think the movie ever implied that, unless it's maybe a reference to the actor. I don't know. It just felt like a really weird choice to make. Like it just kind of came out of nowhere and didn't really mean anything. I don't know. But it's like Mickey touching on like the entire thing about rats eating their babies and stuff. It's like, yeah, really fucked up truth of the world there, which I unfortunately do know about. I have unfortunately seen videos of it because the internet is a scary place. Also, I've seen Doom Patrol. It is in there. Well, not all of Doom Patrol, but I saw where that was at. Moving on, Disney Princess War. This one was probably my favorite of these four, if I had to pick a favorite out of these videos. Basically, Merida comes into this like Disney Princess Summit, which is I guess kind of like the princess meeting in like She-Ra or Star Versus or something like that, and she's just so aggressively discriminated against. It's insane, actually. It's like I understand that kind of part of the joke is that, oh, everybody hates Brave and everything. It's a very disliked film compared to other Disney movies. The funny thing is it's a lot better than most of those Disney movies in there, on the other side specifically. But she was being so fucking terrible to her, like fat shaming her and just like treating her like just in general just like shit. And it's like, my God, it's like I'd fucking declare war on that bitch too. And then you see like siding with her like Mulan and Rapunzel and Tiana and everything, and they're all getting ready for war. They're doing training, and then at the end, like when they're about to actually start the battle, Ariel comes in and it's like, oh, look at my doodle bob or whatever she said. And it's like, oh, you just don't know the meaning of words. And she's like, by the way, she's like right next to like a nuclear bomb. And then it like goes off with Sebastian just coming in and making a really weird fucking statement for no reason. And yeah, then it's basically Fallout. It basically becomes Fallout. So that was a thing. All right. There's like two survivors at the end. It's like Merida and Tinkerbell, and like Tinkerbell just caps Merida in the head. It's just like, oh, okay. I guess we know who won. Tinkerbell's not really a princess though, but then again, neither is Mulan, to be fair. So, yeah. um, it was just, I don't know, I got weirdly like defensive of Merida there. Of course, I also do kind of get a little defensive of the movie Brave, because I actually really liked the movie. I know a lot of people really didn't. A lot of people, like, the trailer being misleading was a thing that a lot of people bring up, and people just didn't like how the story went and whatnot. I actually did. I actually liked it. It's not like the best Disney movie or anything, but I think it's definitely way overhated. And Merida herself as a character, I think, is great. I really like Merida, actually. But yeah, I really, really didn't like how absolutely fucking gross she was being to Merida, so I'm like, I was like getting really defensive of her. I was like really upset. So I think that's partially why this is my favorite of this set of videos here. But the last one we had was called Taken to Peter Pan's Neverland, and went in a complete different direction than I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be like, referencing Peter Pan and, talking about the rampant racism in that movie, because that's the kind of jokes Adult Swim and Robot Chicken would make. It had nothing to do with that. In fact, the racism wasn't even brought up once. The child kidnapping thing was definitely part of it. That's definitely brought into play. But instead, it's just a Taken reference. If you don't know, there's a movie I want to say around 2005, somewhere in that area, starring Liam Neeson, that's called Taken. And I'm sure if you've never seen the movie, you've at least seen the memes where it's like, I will find you, I have a certain set of skills, all of that stuff. Yeah, you've probably seen the memes because they've surprisingly lasted quite a long time. And you still see them every now and again. But I've only seen the first movie. There's like, I think 3 of them. I've only seen the first one, and it was okay. I had no issue with it, but I don't think it needed a sequel or 2. But yeah, I was not expecting that. It was just like, okay, why are you combining these two things? I guess the entire thing about the children being taken to Neverland and everything, I guess I get what you're going for, but it's just like, it's just such a random, like, comparison to make. But you see him go to Neverland after them and start killing everyone but them, basically, but Wendy and her brothers. Like, the Lost boys are violently murdered, which, by the way, literal children being murdered. The mermaids, who, mind you, were about to, eat Wendy, because if you know a lot of, like, classic mermaid lore, mermaids do that shit. Mermaids are terrifying. They're not, like, just, like, pretty ladies in the sea. No, actual classic mermaid lore, mermaids are monsters. They're scary. And they will eat people. In fact, that's kind of their thing. But then it's like he crushes the shit out of Tinkerbell, and ends up killing Peter Pan and his shadow by curb stomping them. It's just like, Jesus, fuck, this is needless. Also, Captain Hook was thrown to a crocodile, but that you have to do that. Like, that just makes sense. It's just like, this was just so needlessly aggressive, and then it just very suddenly ended. It just stopped. All right. Also, I find it kind of funny that we watched 2 back to back with Tinkerbell, and it ended for her in 2 very different ways. Like, in the Disney Princess War one, like, she was the only survivor, and in Taken to Peter Pan's Neverland, she died pretty horrifically. Like, if you really think about that, that'd be like imagine, like, you being, like, just absolutely viscerally crushed like that by, like, a giant anything, really. It would just, like, be horrific. Like, my God. But there's just a little kind of humor in that to me, though, that those 2 I ended up being back to back. Yeah, I mentioned the Disney Princess War is my favorite. If I had to name a least favorite, probably the Taken to Peter Pan's Neverland. It just seemed like a completely random crossover to do, and at the same time, it ended so suddenly that it was actually a little jarring. Of course, granted, that could have just been the video, but I don't think it was. I think it just ended that suddenly. Um, Also, it was just like very basic. It's just like, oh, Liam Neeson's character from Taken goes to Neverland, starts killing everyone except the kids he's there to rescue. There's not really any other depth to it at all. Which, I mean, mind you, is the point that it's meant to be that simple, but it's just like, eh. Compared to the other three we reacted to today, it just wasn't that impressive, I guess you could say. Um, but yeah, yeah. This was it pretty interesting. I enjoyed doing this. And just as a little note here, I don't think I mentioned in the pre thoughts, but the reason why we're doing the YouTube ones on Monday now, along with One Piece, is because I've had a grouping of these YouTube rewards gathering up for quite a while now. Like last year, at one point, I did, I think I want to say it was in November. I did a stream where I tackled a bunch of these YouTube rewards I had built up. But it's like the thing is, if I don't have it scheduled, I have a hard time getting to it. I have a hard time motivating myself to get to it. So I put YouTube on the schedule. So now I'll make sure I get to them. And I'm probably going to do them mostly in groupings like this. There might be one or two videos, depending on the length of them, that might just be one video per, reaction. But we'll tackle that as we get to it. Also, I also want to state right here as well that not all of them may be strictly the YouTube reactions. If there's any reactions that are for like something very short or very simplistic, that's technically not a YouTube thing. I'm gonna count it in here too. For example, if someone requests like a 3 episode series or something of like little shorts or some like anime OVA shorts or something, that would kind of count in with this same kind of thing too. And obviously, again, I'll tackle that when we get to something like that. But it's like it just makes more sense than trying to like include those in like an actual slot. It's like, oh, this is like 6 5-minute episodes of a comedic anime. It's like every episode is 5 minutes and there's 6 of them. It's like that's half an hour in total. It's like I don't really feel like that would make a lot of sense to wait for a slot to open up for. You know? So that would be kind of included within these Monday YouTube reactions as well. But if you have any other questions about that kind of thing or anything, please feel free to ask below or even on the Discord. And as always, let me know what you thought of these 4 videos in the comments as well. Which one was your favorite and which was your least favorite? And let me know why. Thank you in the meantime for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.